Part 66. Adorable Baby, The Miracle Doctor is So Awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 651. In order to get in close contact with Goose Whitting, Mi Yang acted coquettishly and asked the sect leader to accept Goose Whitting as his direct disciple. Fortunately, Goose Whitting's talent was amazing, so sect leader Xiao was very happy with it. In this way, she and Goose Whitting became brothers and sisters taught by their master. In this way, she can get close to him openly and take the opportunity to guide him, and then intervene in his life step by step to let him slowly get used to her existence. When the right opportunity comes, she can inadvertently create some ambiguity. The plan was very good, but who would have thought that Goose Whitting didn't need her guidance at all? Even though he lost his memory, his understanding was still there, and his character, talent, and perseverance were not lacking. Within 2 years, his cultivation was completely beyond Shi. When Mi Yang woke up, she was 18 years old and at the 9th level of Qi training. After that, she didn't practice well at all. After all, this world was completely meaningless to her. It was just an illusion created by the reincarnation disc. She had to practice hard. What is the use? As a result, Goose Whitting's cultivation level easily surpassed hers, and then she could no longer see him. Because he is basically a cultivating madman, and he lives a life of pure indifference. Even if he is not practicing on weekdays, he is still studying various classics or skills such as alchemy weapon arrays. She often couldn't find anyone when she wanted to come to him for advice. It was Shen Xing who was quite close to him. She found out clearly that Shen Xing is Shen Yizi's brother. Shen Yizi was not around, but her brother was always making his presence felt in front of Goose Whitting. She originally wanted to get rid of Shen Xing secretly, but she didn't know that Shen Xing was very lucky and had great luck. She avoided him every time and got many opportunities because of it. She thought that she was giving him gifts in disguise. What a chance! In the end, she simply turned a blind eye and concentrated on attacking Goose Whitting alone. 10 years have passed and Goose Whitting is about to break through the golden elixir stage, but she has achieved little success. In recent years, she has only seen 2 sides of him. Since the right path didn't work, Mi Yang turned to the evil and heretical path. She was not a good person anyway. If Goose Whitting fails to overcome the tribulation and it is impossible to die, then the only outcome is serious injury. Then she can stay by his side in the name of taking care of him, greeting him, caring for him, and using companionship and tenderness to melt his ice-like heart. Isn't this how it is done in storybooks? In order to conquer Goose Whitting, she read many storybooks of this type in the previous worlds, hoping to find some lessons from them. Goose Whitting's Golden Core Thunder tribulation seems dangerous, but Mi Yang knows that he will definitely be able to survive it, if there is no external interference. Now, she is going to be the external force. Boom! 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 3 consecutive thunder pillars struck down, shaking the ground as if it was shaking. Many people were so frightened that their legs weakened and they fell to the ground. The opportunity has arrived. Mi Yang took advantage of everyone's minds to be shocked and rushed towards Goose Whitting, with a worried look on her face, "Junior brother." In fact, her anxiety and worry were only on the surface, and deep in her eyes, there was even a bit of a smile. That is a smile that is about to succeed. Unfortunately, her smile soon froze because Shen Xing stopped her. "Senior brother Gu is going through a tribulation, what is senior sister Xiao doing here?" Shen Xing looked at her with alert eyes. Mi Yang sent people to assassinate him several times, how could he not notice it at all? He didn't even know where he had offended her. This woman is simply inexplicable. Mi Yang frowned. "Junior brother Shen, I'm worried about junior brother Gu and want to come over and help him. I have a protective magic weapon given to me by my father, which can definitely dash." Bullshit. Don't you know that no one can get close to you during the tribulation? Otherwise, it is tantamount to provoking the power of God, and the power of the thunder tribulation will be doubled. You are not helping senior brother Gu at all, but harming him. After Shen Xing said this, he suddenly realized that this woman didn't really want to harm senior brother Gu, right? Why? Oh, he knows. She must be jealous that she and senior brother Gu are more talented than her, practice faster than her, and now their cultivation is far behind her. So I want to take advantage of senior brother Gu's inability to resist and destroy him. Shen Xing felt that he had discovered the truth. This woman is so vicious. He must not let her succeed. Shen Xing's hand was on the hilt of the sword, ready to draw the sword at any time. Mi Yang was so angry that her heart ached when she saw him treating her like a savage beast. Whether it is her own appearance or the appearance that the reincarnation disc has arranged for her now, is she beautiful enough? As a result, the beauty she was so proud of was of no use in front of Gu Switting. Forget it about Gu Switting, this Shen Xing also had a pair of eyes for nothing and was completely blind to her beauty. Now that the opportunity has been lost, it would be too deliberate to try to break through. When Gu Switting fails to overcome the tribulation, she will definitely be blamed. It is only wonder that she can defeat him. Thinking of this, Mi Yang glared at Shen Xing bitterly, turned and left. Shen Xing, senior sister Xiao, didn't you say you were worried about senior brother Gu? Why did you leave now? Mi Yang froze and left quickly. Hey, I knew this woman was all faking. She was really scheming. Fortunately, I didn't fall for her. Shen Xing held the sword in his arms and continued to guard Gu Switting, who was going through the tribulation. Of course, most people would not dare to approach at this time. Thunder tribulation does not discriminate between people. Once it dares to enter the range of thunder tribulation, it will attack everyone without fail. Gu Switting, who was at the center of the thunder, entered a very mysterious state at this moment. His soul seemed to be split in two. One half was struggling to hold up in the seemingly endless thunder, while the other half was trapped in a huge vortex of memory. Countless unfamiliar fragments flashed through my mind, and finally settled on one picture. Finally, the 49 thunder tribulations dissipated, and a spiritual cloud enveloped Gu Switting, sprinkling liquefied fairy air. As soon as the spiritual liquid came into contact with him, it was absorbed by his broken body. His body, which was seriously injured by the thunderstorm, improved and healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. His cultivation level was also rising steadily, and the golden elixir in his dantian was rapidly improving. Shrink and finally compress to the size of a cherry. It was shining with golden light. Gu Switting opened his eyes, and a captivating light flashed across his eyes. He stood up, but the clothes on his body were in pieces. Before his body was exposed, he quickly took out the clothes from his own space and put them on. Shen Xing rushed over. Senior brother Gu, congratulations on entering the golden core stage. Gu Switting saw him, his eyes moved slightly, and he smiled at him. Thank you very much. Shen Xing waved his hand. Why do you and I need to say thank you? A group of uncles, brothers, and sisters came to congratulate Gu Switting, and he returned the favor one by one. After a long time, this activity came to an end. At this time, Gu Switting received a message from his master, Sect Master Xiao, saying, Xueting, come to my master. Gu Switting nodded to Shen Xing before heading over. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 652. In the hall, Xiao Chen saw the young disciple who had stepped in from outside with admiration in his eyes. Within 10 years, he had advanced to the golden elixir stage, and his cultivation was solid and there was no sign of frivolity, which was extremely rare. Xueting, the road to immortality is both difficult and long. You have entered the golden elixir stage in just 10 years, which shows that your talent is amazing, but you should not be arrogant because of this and ignore other people. In the future, there is still a long way to go. Gu Switting lowered his head and said, "Disciple, please follow Master's teachings." "Well, I called you here this time because of the Purple Moon Secret Realm. The Purple Moon Secret Realm opens only once every 50 years, and this year is the 50th year. The Purple Moon Secret Realm can only allow people with Jindan and below cultivation levels to enter. Originally, I planned to let your senior brother lead the team and lead a group of disciples in the sect there. However, your senior brother has not yet come out of seclusion. Now you happen to have broken through to the golden elixir level. Dankai, I want you to be the team leader, are you willing?" Gu Switting said, "This disciple is willing to go. But before going to the Zio secret realm, I want to go home first." "Xiao Chen, well, it's been 10 years since you left home. It's time to go back and have a look. But now that you have embarked on the path of spiritual practice, you must not be too indulged in worldly feelings. After all, mortals have a limited lifespan, and the most they can do is 100 years, and you have entered the golden elixir, and your longevity is only 300. If you can't let go of your relatives, it will only increase your sadness in the end." Gu Switting, this disciple also wants to settle things with his parents at home this time. Xiao Chen nodded, "There are still 10 months until the Zio secret realm opens. You just need to come back before then." He waved something with his sleeve. "This is a flying magic weapon I used in my early years. With this, you can reach home earlier. Go ahead." Gu Switting bowed and said, "Thank you so much, Master. If you want to go from the world of immortality to the mortal world, in addition to opening the boundary of space, you can also go to the outside world through Suanzu Mountain. Suanzu Mountain can be said to be the gateway to the world of immortality, but it is very dangerous to leave from here, because all kinds of ferocious beasts are rampant on the mountain, and you can easily die if you are not careful. If your cultivation level is not at the golden elixir stage, don't even think about getting past this. The entire world of immortality is very vast. As soon as many people step onto the path of immortality, they automatically draw a clear line between them and the secular world and no longer think about going back. Therefore, there are many people who know this path, but are willing to risk their lives to follow it. There are not many people passing through here. The reason why Xiao Chen didn't stop Gu Switting from going back was actually a test. If he can pass through Suanzu Mountain safely and return to the sect, then he will be completely relieved if he is given the task of leading the disciples to the Zio secret realm. As soon as Gu Switting left, Mi Yang ran out from behind the screen. "Dad, why did you agree with junior brother Gu to go back?" Xiao Chen glanced at her and said, "My junior brother Gu has a foot on his leg. How can I stop him from going home to visit his relatives?" Mi Yang walked over and hugged his arm. "Dad, I'm going too. The last time I went to the mortal world, I didn't have much fun. I want to make up for it this time." When Xiao Chen heard this, he knocked on her forehead. "Just have fun. Look at you, Xueting, who came in so many years later than you, has already broken through to the golden elixir stage, and there are also people who came in with him. That Shenxing is in the late stage of foundation building now, and you are still wandering in the early stage of foundation building. I think if you continue to play, you will finish playing with Xiao Yuan sooner or later. Dad, I still have you here, and I'm still young. It doesn't matter if I play for a few more years, just let me go, Dad." The last "dad" was so tactful that Xiao Chen got goosebumps when he heard it. In the end, he couldn't resist Mi Yang's coquettishness and agreed to her. "Dad, I knew you were the best to me. I promise, when I come back from the mortal world this time, I will practice well," Mi Yang said obediently. Xiao Chen hummed twice. He believed that she was a ghost. With such a careless daughter on the stall, he might have done something wrong in his previous life. However, before leaving, he still gave Mi Yang a storage bracelet. "It contains a few protective magical tools I made for you, and an amulet, which sealed a ray of my distraction." Mi Yang held the bracelet with a look of emotion on her face. She stepped forward and gave Xiao Chen a big hug. She buried her head in his arms and said, "Dad, you are so good to me. I can't even bear to leave." "Then don't leave, stay in the sect and practice well." Mi Yang regretted it for a second. "That's not okay. Dad, I'm leaving, don't miss me too much." Xiao Chen smiled and scolded, "Go away." However, when Mi Yang's figure really disappeared, he couldn't help but sigh melancholy. When he learned that Gu Swiding was going home to his home in Bianliang City, Shen Xing immediately became excited. "Brother Gu, take me, take me." Gu Swiding said, "I'm telling you, I just want to ask you if you want to go back with me. Since you also want to go back, let's set off now." "Well, but I have to go and talk to my master first." Although the master usually treats him as a free rein and would not ask him a question after not seeing him for 10 days and a half, but this time he is traveling far away, so it would be better to report him. "Go, I'll wait for you at the foot of the mountain." "Okay." Shen Xing stepped on his flying sword and flew away with a swish. Not long after, he flew back with a swish. As a result, when they arrived at the bottom of the mountain, Shen Xing found a woman standing next to Gu Swiding. It was none other than senior sister Xiao, who wanted to take advantage of senior brother Gu's tribulation to assassinate him. "But, Xiao Lizu, what does this vicious woman want to do?" Shen Xing flew over, and as soon as he landed, he quickly got in between the two of them and separated Mi Yang and Gu Swiding. "Senior brother Gu, let's go." Gu Swiding nodded and took out the flying magic weapon Xiao Chen gave him, a flying disc. The diameter of the flying disc was 5 or 6 meters when fully expanded, and there was a room for resting in the middle. The two of them got on the frisbee, and under Gu Swiding's control, the frisbee flew out with a whoosh, as fast as light. Mi Yang, who was left on the spot, stamped her feet, used her flying magic weapon, a building boat, and quickly followed. Shen Xing quickly discovered it. "Senior brother Gu, why is she always following us? She said she wanted to go to the mortal world with me." "No. Brother Gu, you don't know how insidious Xiao Lizu is. She actually wants to do harm to you while you are going through the tribulation. Now that you are fine, she will definitely want to follow you again, and then wait for an opportunity to harm you. Not only you, but also as for me, if I hadn't been lucky, I would have been killed by her 4 or 5 times." Shen Xing was still frightened. "Gu Swiding, what's going on? She wants to kill you." Shen Xing recounted his previous experiences of narrowly escaping from death, and presented evidence that Mi Yang was the mastermind behind the scenes. Gu Swiding stood up and came to the window, looking at the building boat that was always hanging at the back. "Stay away from her in the future." "Shen Xing, I can do it without you having to tell me." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 653. After arriving at Suanzu Mountain, Gu Swiding and Shen Xing fought their way through. Gu Swiding has just broken through the golden core stage, which is when he needs to stabilize his cultivation, and fighting is the best way to stabilize his cultivation. He is also of the space system, with strong fighting power, and his speed is so fast that he has no friends. Even if he cannot be beaten, he can still outrun him. He takes the lead along the way and harvests the lives of many monsters. After the baptism of battle, his cultivation has stabilized and become more solid, and the exposed edge on his body has also subsided, looking more harmless but more dangerous. Although Shen Xing is not as good as him, he is not bad at all. His great strength has been completely developed during the years of cultivating immortals. He also practices the heavy sword. When the heavy sword in his hand is used, it is often he cut a monster in half when he came across it, making it a walking killer. Mi Yang, who was hanging behind the two of them, was enjoying the feeling of lying down and winning. Shenxing couldn't stand her very much, but since she was the daughter of the sect leader, it was difficult to do anything to her. Goose Whitting didn't know what he was thinking, but he actually acquiesced to her behavior of following them, so the three of them formed a very strong team. Strange team. Goose Whitting and Shenxing were killing everyone in the front, and Mi Yang followed behind to act as a support. Although her cultivation was the weakest, she had the most talismans, elixirs, and magic weapons. Xiao Chen was afraid that she would suffer hardship outside, so the storage bracelet he prepared for her should not contain too many resources. It can be said that he is an out-and-out RMB player. It took the three of them nearly a month to pass through Suanzu Mountain and reach the mortal world. Of course, Suanzu Mountain does not directly border the mortal world. There is a natural chasm between the two that cannot be crossed by human power. However, in the eyes of the three people who have flying magic weapons, that natural chasm is nothing at all. It is impossible to fly. It's over in one day. After that, he entered the real mortal realm. It is a coincidence that when the three of them arrived in Bianliang City, it was the Shangxi festival. When they left 10 years ago, they had just celebrated the Shangxi festival. 10 years have passed in the blink of an eye, and everything in Bianliang City is strange yet familiar. Shangxi festival originated from the exorcism, Tongfu opera, in ancient times. On this day, people held sacrifices by the water to wash away dirt and eliminate bad luck. Today, this festival has basically evolved into a recreational festival. The main festival activities include spring bathing, spring outings, banquets, and water drinking ceremonies. In short, everyone from princes and nobles to ordinary people can gather at the waterside to play and have fun on this day. It is a day for all people to relax. Day. Men and women all wear their most splendid and beautiful clothes on this day. If they see each other right, they may be able to form a marriage. Therefore, this day is also called Valentine's Day. Every year, many couples become lovers on this day. By the Jinming River, the most famous river in the city, pairs of young men and women walking together and talking can be seen everywhere, and the beautiful hormonal atmosphere is floating in the air. Children are running around on the grass, flying kites, playing kudzu and shuttlecocks, and various vendors are selling their goods on the roadside. Under the bright sunshine, everything seemed so joyful and enthusiastic, and the smell of fireworks in the world of mortals was ordinary but also moving. After entering the city, the three people were swept into the warm festive atmosphere. With a hiss, a flower flew towards the side. Shenxing reflexively shot out a sword energy, splitting the flower into 7 or 8 petals. A girl not far away saw the scene and stamped her feet in shame. "You are a real person. I didn't give this flower to you, so why did you break it for me?" Shenxing scratched the back of his head and said, "I'm sorry, I'll give the flower back to you. You can throw it again." He picked up the broken flowers on the ground and cast a rejuvenation spell. The broken peony recovered in the blink of an eye and became even more delicate and pink than before. The girl looked at the scene and was so shocked that she couldn't recover. You dash. Monks performing magic in the mortal world are prone to attract onlookers, and today is such a festival where everyone gathers. It would be bad if it caused a stampede. Goose Whitting glanced at the girl, used the soul-stirring technique to make her forget the scene just now, and put the peony back into her hand. "Let's go." The three of them were lost in the crowd. The girl came back to her senses, blinked, and looked at the red peony in her hand, feeling that she had forgotten something. Moreover, how did her peony become better looking? Forget it, keep looking for the next target. Her goal today is to send the flowers back, successfully hook up with the man she likes, and get herself married. Oops, a teenage boy was busy flying a kite, but he didn't pay attention to the road and accidentally bumped into Goose Whitting. With Goose Whitting's skill, he could have easily avoided it, but there were people on both sides, so he couldn't avoid it, so he simply stood there and didn't move. He also helped the little boy in time when he was knocked to the ground. "Big brother, thank you," the young man thanked him sweetly. "Watch the road carefully and don't get hit again." Goose Whitting touched his head. Little Carp dashed along with a call. A girl who looked like a clear spring among flowers came over. Her appearance was like a ray of light shining into the forest, making the surrounding noise disappear instantly, and everything became hers. Foil. The moment she saw her, Mi Yang's heart was shocked. Shenyazi. Unexpectedly, Goose Whitting would meet her on the first day he came back. What kind of blood relationship do they have? She subconsciously looked at Goose Whitting's expression, but found that his expression was indifferent and he didn't have any special reaction to Shenyazi's appearance. This made her sigh in relief. She just said that after so many reincarnations, no matter how deep the relationship between the two is, it should fade away. "Sister," the young boy, Suziling, ran over and took Shenyazi's hand. "I bumped into this big brother just now. Fortunately, he helped me in time, otherwise I would have fallen on my butt." Shenyazi pinched his nose and said, "I told you to run slower, but I don't want to listen." Turning her head to look at Goose Whitting, the moment his appearance came into view, she could clearly hear her own heartbeat. "Oops, it's a heart-pounding feeling." "Thank you, Sir." Shenyazi stepped forward and saluted Goose Whitting. The moment she approached, Goose Whitting's blood boiled. He smelled the fragrance of her hair on the tip of his nose. He exhausted all his restraint and resisted the urge to touch her and hold her in his arms. His heart was surging, but his face was as indifferent as water. "You're welcome, girl." Attitude is the same as for all strangers you meet for the first time. "Junior brother Shen, let's go." Goose Whitting had already turned around. Mi Yang hurriedly followed, her sleeves touching his intentionally or unintentionally as she walked, creating an illusion of intimacy. However, the two of them walked a certain distance, and Shen Xing did not catch up. Goose Whitting looked back and saw that he was already chatting with Shenyazi. Both of them looked surprised, and they even hugged each other in the end. Goose Whitting's pupils shrank suddenly, and there was no time to hide his reaction at that moment. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 654. The reason why Shenyazi and Shen Xing hugged each other was naturally because they recognized each other. To be precise, they recognized each other through the little carp. Shen Xing was happy and proud when he saw his sister, who had become like a little fairy in the past 10 years. She kept spinning in circles with Shenyazi in her arms. He was very strong, and holding Shenyazi was as effortless as holding a doll. Shenyazi, however, was so turned around that he almost felt dizzy. She kept patting him on the shoulder. "Little Xing Xing, put me down quickly, I'm going to feel dizzy." He. After putting her down, Shen Xing looked at her and couldn't help but smile. The two stood face to face, and the contrast in height was very tragic. "Little Xing Xing, I didn't expect you to be so tall." Shenyazi compared the height difference between himself and Shen Xing. He felt that time was really a stretcher. Shen Xing, who was already tall, was now a full head taller than her. She only came up to his chin. Obviously she has an excellent height among women. Shen Xing comforted her. "It's okay, you can still grow longer." Shenyazi. "She doesn't want to continue to grow taller." "Okay. The longer you get taller, the better your proportions will be." "This silly brother." Suziling looked at Shen Xing curiously. He had heard his sister and mother talk about this brother since he was a child. "Brother Xing, have you really learned magic from the immortals? What magic skills have you learned now? Can you demonstrate it to me?" Shen Xing slapped his head with his big palm and threw him on his back with one hand. "Let's go home and show you." Suziling was startled at first, and then became excited, because being carried on Shen Xing's back, he was quite a bit taller than the others, and he could see all the mountains at a glance. Shen Xing said hello to Gu Swiding, and then happily went home with Shen Yizi. Gu Swiding withdrew his gaze indifferently and walked towards Gu Mansion. On the way, Shen Yizi couldn't help but ask Shen Xing about Gu Swiding. Little Xing, who is the young man with you? Oh, you're talking about senior brother Gu. He is the one who joined the Yuxiao sect with me. You met him when you were a child during the Lantern Festival when you were 4 years old. We went to sweep the streets together. It turned out to be him. Thinking about it, he actually hasn't changed much from how he looked 10 years ago, but his temperament has changed a lot, and his body shape has changed from the slender and thin appearance of a teenager to the handsome and upright appearance of a young man. Speaking of which, he had given her a Pisces jade pendant before, but she didn't have any special feelings for him at that time. Unexpectedly, 10 years later, when she saw him again, she would fall in love with him at the first sight. The Shen family still lives in the same place. Although the Shen family's assets have increased countless times over the years, the family has become accustomed to living here and is familiar with the neighbors. The family has a simple population and can easily accommodate them, so they have never moved. Pass. Anyway, living comfortably is the most important thing. As soon as Shen Xing stepped into the yard and saw the pear tree in the yard, she instantly felt like her heart had settled down. As soon as Su Xiling landed on the ground, she ran excitedly into the house, shouting as she ran, "Mom, brother Xiao Xing is back." Unexpectedly, there was no response. Zhu Er came out and said, "Master, Madam, they went out for an outing and haven't come back yet." Seeing Shen Xing, he was surprised and happy. "Brother Shen Xing is back." Shen Xing looked confused when he saw her. Shen Yizi introduced him with a smile, "This is Zhu Er, little Xing, don't you recognize it?" Shen Xing suddenly realized, it turns out to be Zhu Er. She has grown into a big girl. Zhu Er hurriedly poured him tea and put on a plate of snacks and fruit. "Brother Shen Xing has just come back. He must be tired, right? I'm going to boil a pot of hot water. You can take a good bath and go feel tired." She went to the kitchen to work. In the room, Shen Yizi took Shen Xing and asked him about his life after going to Yuxiao section. He also told him what happened at home in the past few years. Su Xiling interrupted from time to time. The three brothers and sisters were having a great time chatting. In the evening, Su Yu and Shen finally came back after going out to celebrate Valentine's Day. As soon as the two of them stepped through the door, Su Xiling ran over and told them the good news of Shen Xing's return. Ms. Shen couldn't believe it at first, but when she saw Shen Xing standing in front of her, she couldn't help but shed tears of joy, and quickly walked a few steps to hug him. Shen Xing is tall and tall. Now that Ms. Shen can no longer hold him in her arms, Shen Xing takes the initiative to bend down and put his head on her shoulder. "Mother." This cry of mother made Ms. Shen burst into tears again. She patted his back and said, "It's good to come back. It's good to come back." In the blink of an eye, the little star has grown so big. Suyakiyu wiped her tears with a handkerchief and advised her in a gentle voice, "It's a good thing that Xiao Xing is back. Why did the golden piece fall? Be careful and hurt your eyes from crying." Shen Yizi and Su Xiling looked at each other, and their father, Uncle Su, and mother showed off their affection after having a disagreement. Shen's tears turned into a smile, and she grabbed the handkerchief and wiped it herself. The family was reunited, and Ms. Shen pulled Shen Xinjia to talk endlessly. Shen Yizi had already understood almost everything in the afternoon, so he stopped fighting with her mother and ran into the kitchen to show off his skills. Zhuer's eyes lit up when she saw that she was going to cook, and she could eat Zizi's cooking again. No one who has tasted Shen Yizi's cooking skills has anything negative to say about it, but she is usually lazy and rarely does it. She only does it when Su Xiling is pestering her too much. As the moon rose, several delicious dishes prepared by Shen Yizi were finally put on the table. The table was placed in the courtyard, and the moonlight shone down, covering the scenery in the courtyard with a soft color. Two glazed lamps under the eaves emit warm yellow light. The moonlight interweaves with the lights, and the pear blossoms at night are even more fragrant. Shen Xing was performing some entertaining little spells for Su Xiling, such as Fireball, Rejuvenation, Ice Arrow. Su Xiling held an ice arrow in his hand and danced vigorously in the open space of the yard. Mrs. Shen was helping Shen Yizi lay out the dishes and chopsticks. She glanced at them from time to time, with a smile on her eyes and brows. Suyakiyu dug out the wine he had buried under the old ginkgo tree in the yard and carried it over here. Okay, stop playing around, come and sit down and eat. Mrs. Shen greeted her two sons. Let's go eat. Shen Xing picked up Su Xiling, held it under his arm, walked to the table, and put him on the chair. Although Shen Xing has been fasted, he rarely took fasted pills. When he was in the section the stuff tasted like chewing gum, and he would never take it unless necessary. On weekdays, you either hunt monsters by yourself, or you save a sum of spiritual stones and go to a restaurant that specializes in spiritual food to have a meal and have a toothpaste. After all, you won't be aggravated by your stomach. If cultivating immortality means giving up all desires, then what is the point of cultivating? It would be better to become a Buddhist monk from the beginning. He feels that the purpose of cultivating immortality is to allow himself to live a better life, rather than to make himself feel aggrieved. His master appreciated his idea very much, so he accepted him as his disciple. Although master and apprentice like them are regarded as aliens in the sect, it does not affect them at all. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 655. Although he has eaten a lot of amazing food in the world of immortality, what Shen Xing misses most is the craftsmanship of his mother and sister. Looking at the delicious food on the table in front of him, Shen Xing picked up his chopsticks and started eating. Shen gave him some food and said, "Eat slowly, there are so many, and no one will compete with you." At home, Shen Xing really lived a good life for a few days. He had clothes to put out his hands and food to open his mouth. Mrs. Shen took good care of him, as if he was trying to make up for all the shortcomings in the previous years. Shen Xing also enjoyed it very much, but soon he became extremely happy and sad. Because Mr. Shen began to care about his personal problems. Xiao Xing, although you are cultivating immortality now, you still want to have a family after all. Your mother won't rush you, but you are already in your 20s now. Ordinary men can have children at your age. Neither do I know if I can have grandchildren in my lifetime. Shen Xing's head went numb when he heard this. Mom, I definitely want to get married, but it's just that I haven't met the girl I like. You are still so young, you will definitely live a long life, how can you not have a grandchild? Here's my son. He just can't hold me in his arms. Isn't that what else dash? As soon as his eyes passed over Shen Yizi, he was glared hard by her, and he immediately changed his words, there are still little carps. Mrs. Shen gave him an angry look, when the little carp grows up and has his own son, I will be old by then. How can I hold my grandson in my arms? My mother also knows many old sisters, and they all have unmarried girls of the right age at home. Otherwise, Mom, will you give me some clues? Mom is not that pedantic old stubborn. She only chooses her daughter-in-law according to her own wishes. The main thing is whether you like it or not. Shen Xing felt that he couldn't stay any longer. Mom, I received a messenger from my senior brother. He probably has something to do with me, so I won't be back for dinner today. After saying that, he ran away immediately. Shen Yizi was afraid that Mr. Shen would turn the finger on him, so he also went out. Mom, I'm going to look at the little stars. When Mrs. Shen was about to call her to stop, she had already disappeared. She couldn't help laughing and scolding, both of them are worried. Suyakiyu held her shoulders and comforted her in a gentle voice, children and grandchildren will have their own blessings. Sooner or later, they will meet their respective marriages. You make it easy. Ms. Shen glared at him and sighed, actually, I'm not worried about Xiao Xing. The main thing is that I know that she is a girl. She is not young now. She will be 18 in the new year. You are a grown-up girl. If you don't talk about your husband's family, what will happen in the future? But after Shen Yizi caught up with Shen Xing, the brother and sister looked at each other and felt a sense of relief from their mother's shadow. Little Xing, has Mr. Gu really contacted you? Shen Yizi asked. She was quite looking forward to seeing him again. Shen Xing shook his head, I'm coaxing my mother. Shen Yizi thought so. He suppressed the disappointment in his heart and raised a smile, come on, I will take you for a walk. Bianliang City has changed a lot in these years. It just so happened that when the two of them wandered near the restaurant, Gu Switing was reminiscing with his former friend in the private room. Mi Yang also followed Gu Switing. When Pei Fei and Jota saw the two coming in, they exchanged ambiguous looks. Seeing Zhou, could this be my younger brother and sister? Pei Fei came over with a glass of wine and wanted to put his arm around Gu Switing's shoulders, but found that he was half a head taller than her. He couldn't hug him at all, so he could only hold on his arms. Mi Yang was about to show a shy smile and acquiesce in the title younger sister when Gu Switing said lightly, no, she is my master's daughter, Xiao Lizu. Pei Fei knew his temperament. Since he said this, he really had no relationship with this girl Xiao. His expression became much more serious immediately, and he stretched out his hand towards Mi Yang and made a gesture of invitation, indicating that she was at the table. Take a seat. Gu Switing still chose a seat by the window. When he walked over, he happened to see Shen Yizi and Shen Xing walking on the street outside. Those who cultivate immortality have keen senses. Shen Xing immediately noticed Gu Switing's gaze. When he looked over, he realized it was him and immediately smiled and raised his hand at him. Gu Switing nodded to him and sent a message to him, my friends and I are gathering here. Junior brother Shen, please come too. Shen Xing asked, can I bring my sister? Gu Switing glanced at Shen Yizi briefly, okay. Great, I'll come over right now. Shen Xing pulled Shen Yizi and ran towards the restaurant. Gu Switing informed the specific location, and Shen Xing and Shen Yizi came over soon. Shen Xing, you all know each other. Junior brother Shen and I have supported each other in the sect these years, and junior brother Shen has helped me a lot. Gu Switing introduced Shen Xing in this way, which was much more solemn and warm than when he introduced Mi Yang just now. Shen Xing rubbed the back of his head and smiled a little sheepishly. Senior brother Gu said, you should be the one taking care of me. If you hadn't always given me spiritual stones, I wouldn't have cultivated so fast. As soon as he talked about cultivation, Pei and Fei immediately surrounded him and asked him various topics about cultivation with great interest. Shen Xing did not hide his secrets and answered all their questions, satisfying their doubts and curiosity one by one. The three of them chatted very lively. Gu Switing sat aside with a cold posture, occasionally saying a word. Mi Yang came over and joined the small chat group, trying to isolate Shen Yizi. However, Shen Yizi didn't care at all. She sat down next to Gu Switing and approached the topic from the perspective of food. The steamed sea bass here is very delicious. Mr. Gu might as well try it. If she hadn't been afraid of offending the handsome man, she would have just given him a piece of fish without bones and put it in his bowl. Gu Switing gave a low response, but did not move her chopsticks. Mi Yang turned around and said, Miss Shen, we have all gone away from grain. We basically don't eat on weekdays. Even if we eat, we drink spiritual energy without impurities. Eat well, otherwise impurities will easily accumulate in the body and affect your practice. This statement is a bit of a blow to the dimensionality reduction. Just say it clearly, we are all monks and we don't look down on ordinary food full of impurities at all, so don't waste your time. When she said these words, it was not just Shen Yizi's face that was refuted, but also the faces of Pei Fei and Jota. Neither of them felt very happy. "Why, you are so noble, but the food we mortals eat has defiled you." No wonder Goosewitting had a cold attitude towards her. With such an outspoken attitude, if she hadn't been the daughter of the head of the Yuxiao sect, she would have been put in a sack long ago. Pei Fei sneered, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't consider that Miss Xiao is a fairy who only eats spiritual food. We really didn't entertain her well." First blood. Mi Yang is impatient. "If it weren't for the fact that you are Goosewitting's friends, who would be willing to deal with it? He was just a dummy transformed from the realm of reincarnation, but he actually dared to mock her in a weird way. But he said, 'Sorry, that's not what I meant, I dash.'" You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 656. Jota, that's what you mean. If Miss Xiao looks down on us mortals, then you'd better not stay with us, lest you tarnish your noble soul. Double kill. Shen Yizi was quite angry at first, but now that Mi Yang was speechless by Goosewitting's two friends, she suddenly lost her anger and started watching the show with great interest. At this time, Shen Xing added another sentence, "Sister Xiao, it's ridiculous to say this. I usually eat ordinary food, but my cultivation level is higher than yours. You eat a lot of spiritual food. How about your cultivation level, not as good as me?" It can be seen that cultivation has nothing to do with what you eat, the key depends on your qualifications and character, brother Gu, am I right? Triple kill. Goosewitting drank a glass of wine and put down the glass, "You are right." Ultra kill. At this point, Mi Yang was killed in battle. Facing the sarcastic looks from the people in the private room, she couldn't stay any longer. She stood up suddenly, opened the door vigorously and walked out. However, as soon as she walked out of the restaurant, the anger on her face disappeared and became expressionless. She walked into a tea house, asked for a private room alone, and took out a bead with an uneven surface. This bead is a sound transmitting instrument, which exists in pairs and is called the mother bead. The sub-bead can transmit all the sounds heard to the mother bead. What she was holding in her hand was the mother of pearl. Before she came out of the private room of the restaurant, she had hidden a mother of pearl there. She wanted to see if Goosewitting's attitude towards Shen Yizi would change if she was not there. In this life, Goosewitting had a cold attitude when she first met Shen Yizi. Originally, Mi Yang was glad that her hard work had finally paid off, but the reincarnation will told her that something was wrong with Goosewitting. She wanted to ask again what was wrong, but it disappeared after saying that sentence, which made her feel uneasy, so she had to verify it herself. The movement in the private room came through the mother of pearl. Mi Yang listened attentively, but until the end of the party, she didn't hear any special treatment from Goosewitting to Shen Yizi. But the reincarnation disc will not come out of nowhere. Or, did she understand it wrong? After that, no matter how she called the reincarnation disc, it was as silent as if it were dead. Forget it, she didn't count on it in the first place. She had to rely on herself to defeat Goosewitting. On the third day after the party, Mi Yang asked Shen Yizi to meet at a tea house. As a result, when Shen Yizi arrived, Mi Yang hadn't come yet. "Are you trying to give her a kick?" Shen Yizi chuckled. Women are very sensitive to the scent of their love rivals. Shen Yizi sensed Xiao Lizu's hostility toward her when they first met. But she was not afraid of her at all. So what if she was the daughter of the leader of a major sect in the world of immortality? She is not bad herself, she is a woman with a Krypton gold system. As long as she has enough money, what can't she exchange for? Not much worse than Xiao Lizu. The reason why she came to Mi Yang's appointment was just to see what she wanted to say. After waiting for a full 2/4 of an hour, Mi Yang came and said without sincerity, "Sorry, I received a message from my father when I was about to go out. He kept me chatting for a long time and told junior brother Gu to take good care of me. Look at me. Tell you what to do." Mi Yang sat down opposite Shen Yizi, took out the spirit tea and the tea set from the storage bracelet, and brewed the tea leisurely. Her movements were smooth and elegant. Shen Yizi watched her performance quietly, with a shocked expression. Mi Yang seemed to be concentrating on making tea, but in fact, her consciousness fell on Shen Yizi all the time. Shen Yizi couldn't help but sigh in his heart. He didn't know whether the Xiao Lizu was innocent or simply stupid, and he actually used his spiritual consciousness on others so unscrupulously. If she encounters someone whose cultivation level is higher than hers, this kind of behavior is tantamount to provocation, and the person can follow her consciousness into her sea of consciousness with a backhand, severely damaging her soul. Actually, Shen Yizi quite wanted to do this, but in order not to expose the fact that she was also a monk and her cultivation level was much higher than hers, she had better keep going. After the tea was brewed, Mi Yang poured it into the teacup in front of Shen Yizi. "Try the Lingwu tea I brought from the section. This kind of tea is not easy to grow. It takes 10 years to produce just a few taels. Even in the world of immortality it's not easy to taste, but I picked it out from my father's hand. The spiritual energy it contains is so peaceful that even a mortal can drink a small cup." Seeing that Shen Yizi had finished the cup, she asked, "How was it?" Shen Yizi sincerely praised, "It is indeed a spiritual tea. It tastes much better than the tea I usually drink." Mi Yang smiled, took out a small can of tea and handed it over. "If you like it, I'll give you this one. Drinking a cup every day can remove impurities from the body. It won't take long before your body becomes cleaner and clearer." "Thank you." Shen Yizi didn't refuse. Xiao Lizu wanted to give it away, so she took over. After all, things are good things. At this time, Mi Yang got down to the topic. "Miss Shen, do you know why I want to ask you out?" Shen Yizi shook his head. Mi Yang glanced at her intently and said meaningfully, "Miss Shen, do you really not know?" Shen Yi knew it was wrong to pretend to be stupid anymore, lowered his eyes and said, "Is it because of Mr. Gu?" "Mi Yang, that's right. I invited Miss Shen here to persuade you not to fall into this trap anymore. You like junior brother Gu, right? Don't rush to deny it. You can't hide your liking for this kind of thing. I can see it. Who can dislike someone as good as junior brother Gu? But there is no end in sight for you and him." Shen Yizi, haha, is there any result? Is it your turn to make a conclusion? Junior brother Gu is destined to pursue the great road and will never indulge in the love of his children. However, Miss Shen, a mortal, has a lifespan of less than 100 years at most. For us monks, 100 years is just a blink of an eye. Even if Shen Yizi's infatuation moved junior brother Gu and allowed him to be with junior brother Gu temporarily, you are indeed born with extraordinary beauty, but such appearance can only last for a few years. Have you ever thought about it, when you are young? How should we handle ourselves when we are no longer there? Shen Yizi bit his lower lip. That's not something Miss Xiao has to worry about. Even if Mr. Gu and I can't stay together forever, as long as we have had each other, I will be satisfied." A dark light flashed in Mi Yang's eyes. She took out a jade bottle and put it on the table, pushing it towards her. "There is a Dinjian pill in it. You know what it is from the name, right? By using it, Miss Shen will stay young and look ageless." Of course, what she didn't say was that the effect of this anti-aging pill can only last for 50 years, and it only affects the face. Other parts of the body will still become older as time goes by. At that time, how can Shen Yizi, who has an ageless face but is gradually getting older, be beautiful? I'm afraid I won't be seen as a monster. Haha, she was quite looking forward to such a scene. "Adorable baby, The Miracle Doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 657. Shen Yizi was quite curious about Dinjian pill. He took it and opened the bottle and smelled it. He frowned slightly. Is this Xiao Lizu really the daughter of the leader of the cultivating immortal sect? How dare you fool her with such a defective product? Oh, yes, in her eyes, she is just a mortal. How can she tell whether the Dinjian pill in front of her is good or bad? Mi Yang, as long as Miss Shen is willing not to appear in front of junior brother Gu from now on, this Dinjian pill will be yours. How about it? The Dinjian pill that can remain youthful forever and a sweetheart who will never have any results are put together at the same time. I believe everyone will make the right choice, right? Mi Yang is very confident about this. However, Shen Yizi's words broke the smile on her face. Miss Xiao did not hesitate to take out such a precious elixir just to prevent me from appearing in front of Mr. Gu. It seems that I am in Miss Xiao's heart. The weight is very heavy. Why? I am just a mortal with nothing but beauty. How can I make Miss Xiao be so wary of me? Mi Yang's smile became colder by the inch. It seemed that she had to retract her previous judgment of Shen Yizi. Not only was she not stupid, she was also very perceptive. She no longer had any false pretense with her. I think it's better for you to accept this Dinjian pill, otherwise, I remember Miss Shen also has a younger brother named, Little Carp. I remember it right. She sighed softly. The lives of mortals are always fragile and short, especially before they grow up. Maybe a minor illness or a small accident can cause them to die young, Miss Shen said. Right. Shen Yizi's eyes suddenly darkened. Xiao Lizu was threatening her. A naked threat. If she doesn't accept the Dinjian pill and agree to her request, she will take action against the little carp. She has nothing to fear if Xiao Lizu attacks her, but she is not sure that she can completely protect Xiao Liu and Shen. After all, she is not strong enough to watch them all the time. Shen Yizi's hand on her lap was clenched into a fist. After a while, she picked up the jade bottle on the table and said, "Okay, I'll accept this Dinjian pill." Mi Yang smiled at her and said, "Miss Shen is a smart person. I believe you will not let me down." On the way home, Shen Yizi was thinking about one question. Judging from Xueting's attitude towards her, there was no need for Xiao Lizu to regard her as a rival. After all, on the surface, their conditions were very different. Xiao Lizu was a jade woman. The daughter of the leader of the Xiao sect, she and Gu Suiting are senior siblings, and she is just an ordinary person. But today Xiao Lizu solemnly asked her out, and even took out a Tingyan pill to keep her away from Gu Suiting, although the Tingyan pill was a defective product. This attitude is obviously a bit too much. Or should I say, taking out a beauty-fixing pill is nothing to Xiao Lizu. She just can't tolerate any other woman around Gu Suiting. If this is the case, it makes more sense. However, if Xiao Lizu thought she would give up like this, she would be totally wrong. After all, Gu Suiting was the first person she had fallen in love with in her life. How could a defective Dingyan pill make her give up? At least a room full of spiritual stones. 1 month later. Shen Xing is leaving with Gu Suiting. Although Mrs. Shen was extremely reluctant to let go of him, her son had no choice but to follow his mother. He had his own way to go. She could not trap him by her side. She could only place her mother's love on the robe made by her own hands and sewn tightly. Shoes, food, and repeated instructions. Shen Xing put the things into his storage bag, turned his head and wiped his tears. "Mom, don't worry, I will take care of myself. No matter how reluctant you are to leave, there will eventually be a moment of separation." The family stood at the door of their home, watching Shen Xing walk away step by step. That night, Shen Yizi asked to sleep with Mr. Shen. Although Suyuyu was reluctant, he finally went to share a room with Xiao Carp. The mother and daughter were lying together, and it was Ms. Shen who spoke first. "Zizi, If you have anything to say, just say it. Mom, listen. Shen Yizi hesitated for a moment, but finally said what was in his heart, Mom, I want to go to the world of immortality. This idea came to mind from the day Xiao Lizu came to find her. In the past, she had been practicing alone, because she was surrounded by ordinary people, and she even developed a sense of superiority. However, the appearance of Xiao Lizu made her realize the cruel side of the world of immortality. If she is not as strong as others, she can only be bullied in vain. If she was so powerful that people were afraid of her, how could Xiao Lizu dare to threaten her with the safety of her family? It was just that he had spotted her and a mortal could only let her suppress him. But to increase strength and stay in the secular world, it is obviously no longer appropriate. Although she entered the path of cultivating immortals early, with the resources exchanged from the system mall, she has now reached the middle stage of foundation building. But if she wants to improve, she will need a huge amount of money, and the exchange rate of money in the secular world is low, which cannot meet her growing needs. Only by entering the world of cultivating immortals and earning spiritual stones to recharge into the system can she exchange for more training resources. Secondly, in the secular world, if a girl of her age does not get married yet, the pressure from public opinion will increase. Although she does not care about it herself, she can just ignore what others say and let them say whatever they like. But Shen and the others will be greatly affected, and they are easily criticized wherever they go. But it was different in the world of immortality. She had already understood clearly from Shen seeing that in the world of immortality, whether a female cultivator married or not depended entirely on her personal wishes. Even if she remained single for hundreds of years, no one would say anything. In the world of immortality, strength is respected. As long as you are strong, no one will care about you even if you have 17 or 8 pretty boys. Of course, she is not interested in pretty boys or anything like that, she is only interested in goose-whitting. The only person she has ever been attracted to in her life, she can't just give up without doing anything, right? The chance to realize her strong strength and the handsome man she likes can only be achieved by entering the world of immortality. Therefore, she must enter the world of immortality. She is just worried about the attitude of her family. Shen Yizi waited nervously for Shen's reaction. To her surprise, Shen was silent for a while and then did not stop her. Zizi, since you have decided, let's go. She stroked her daughter's hair. Actually, ever since you became a disciple of Taoist He, I had a hunch that one day you would leave your mother's side and go to a bigger and broader world. You have been very creative since you were a child. When other girls were 4 or 5 years old, they only knew how to play, but you were already following Xiaoxing in the streets and doing business. Later, Xiaoxing left, and you were only 7 years old, but you already knew how to get money. It's your idea, you take care of everything at home and outside. Recalling every bit of the past, Shen's eyes couldn't help but moisten, and Shen Yizi snuggled into her arms. That night, mother and daughter talked a lot and didn't sleep much. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 658. When they woke up the next day, both of them had bright dark circles under their eyes. The mother and daughter looked at each other and couldn't help but smile. After breakfast, Shen Yizi announced in a normal tone that he was leaving home for the world of immortality. Su Yaqiyu and Su Ziling took a long time to react. At first, the father and son thought it was a joke she made, but seeing the calm look on Shen's face, it was obvious that they already knew it, so they had to believe it. Su Ziling immediately stopped eating and pulled Shen Yizi to prevent her from leaving. Sister, don't you want the little carp? I will never be naughty again and I will listen to you. How about you don't leave? At first, Shen Yizi thought about leaving quietly because he was afraid of the scene before him, but he still felt that no matter what, there should be a formal farewell, even if it was uncomfortable. Shen Yizi held the little carp's face and wiped his tears. Okay, our little carp is now a young man, but we can't cry all the time. My sister went to the world of immortality to learn her skills. In the future, you have become very powerful. If anyone dares to bully you, I will help you deal with him when he comes back. Su Xiling was not comforted. Seeing that Shen Yi had already decided to leave and was not moved by his pleas to stay, the child suddenly became angry, threw her hand away and ran into his room. Sister doesn't want him anymore, and he shouldn't pay attention to her anymore. Shen Yizi came to the door of his room and said, "Little Liu, my sister is really gone. Why don't you come out and say goodbye to your sister?" Su Xiling lay on the bed and ignored it. However, when her voice stopped ringing outside, he couldn't help but feel flustered. He suddenly got up and opened the door. As soon as he opened the door, he saw Shen Yizi standing outside the door, smiling. "Look at him. Sister." Su Xiling rushed over and hugged her waist, crying like a little puppy about to be abandoned. At this moment, Shen Yizi was really almost defeated by his tear offensive, but it was only just a little bit. In life, sooner or later you have to face separation. No one can stay with anyone all the time. She stroked his furry head and said, "From now on, when my sister is not at home, you must listen to mother and Uncle Su, do you understand?" "Well, sister, how long will you be going?" "I will come back when you get a wife, okay?" These words made Su Xiling blush. He withdrew from Shen Yizi's arms and wiped his face. "Okay, sister, let's go. Don't worry about the family. I will take care of the family." At this moment, he suddenly grew up a lot. Shen Yizi felt melancholy and happy at the same time. Asterisk. In Suanzhu Mountain, Gu Swiding and his party have been walking for more than half a month, and they will be able to leave the mountain in about 10 days. This night, Gu Swiding stayed vigil. In the formation, he sat by the fire and meditated, while Shen Xing slept soundly with his sword on his pillow. Mi Yang sat across from the bonfire and tried to talk to Gu Swiding. "Junior brother Gu, why don't you come and keep watch? You've been tired all day." Gu Swiding didn't say anything, and didn't even raise his eyelids, as if she didn't exist at all. Along the way, he had adopted such an indifferent attitude towards her. Mi Yang looked at his face, which was reflected in the bonfire, and became more and more profound and handsome, with obsession in her eyes. Seeing him immersed in practice, she took out a piece of dark red spice the size of a fingernail from her storage bracelet and quietly threw it into the fire. That spice has a psychedelic effect. Once you inhale its fragrance, you will be addicted and will regard the first person of the opposite you see as the person you are longing for. She held her breath and waited quietly for Gu Swiding to have an attack. Suddenly, Gu Swiding opened her eyes, her heart skipped a beat suddenly, and she looked at him without blinking. Seeing him getting up and walking towards her, she raised a smile at the corner of her mouth, her eyes were charming, and her crimson lips parted lightly. "Junior brother Gu." Unexpectedly, Gu Swiding just glanced at her indifferently, and then his figure became blurred and disappeared on the spot. "Junior brother Gu." She wanted to catch up, but Gu Swiding left through the space nodes, and she had no idea where he went. Shen Xing was awakened and sat up suddenly. "What's wrong with senior brother Gu?" He looked around and found that Gu Swiding was missing. His expression changed and he shot a fierce look at Mi Yang. "What did you do to senior brother Gu?" Mi Yang was feeling gloomy because her plan failed. She snorted coldly when she heard this. "What can I do to junior brother Gu?" Sit on a big tree not far away from the group of people was a man wrapped in a black cloak. It was Shen Yizi. The black cloak she exchanged from the mall has the effect of invisibility and breathing. This is why she followed Gu Swiding and his party without being discovered by them. She still remembers Xiao Lizu's threat to her before. Although Xiao Lizu has left the border of Dao now, there is no guarantee that she has not left any backup plan. If she sees her appearance, someone gets angry and directly makes people attack Xiliu and the others. That is, she couldn't afford it. So, she cannot appear in front of them yet. As she had done many nights before, she quietly closed her eyes and practiced cross-legged. The closer she got to the world of immortality, the richer the spiritual energy became, much richer than the world of mortals. However, after more than half a month, her cultivation level had improved a step further. If you go to the world of cultivating immortals, wouldn't your cultivation speed be faster? Thinking of this, Shen Yizi's heart became eager. Only when she becomes stronger can she pursue what she wants and destroy the existence that threatens her family. Suddenly, she noticed a breath appearing out of thin air in front of her eyes. Goose-witting. Shen Yizi was shocked. How could he find himself here? She has been very careful to hide it. Your Excellency has been following us, what do you want? Goose-witting stood in front of the branch with his hands behind his hands, looking at her with eyes as cold as the moonlight. His tone was extremely indifferent, and Shen Yizi felt a sense of grievance in his heart, as if he shouldn't have had this attitude towards himself. She tried her best to suppress the inexplicable grievance that came over her. When she spoke, it was a hoarse and deep man's voice. I have no ill intentions, I just want to take advantage of following a few of them. No malice? Then why don't you dare to show your true colors? As soon as she finished speaking, Goose-witting attacked her. Shen Yizi knew that his strength was far inferior to him, so he didn't want to fight him at all, so he turned around and ran away. However, Goose-witting was too fast and teleported directly in front of her. He shot a space blade from his fingertips and her hat was immediately sliced off. Half of it fell off. If it had been a few points off, her scalp would have been cut off. Shen Yizi was so shocked that a layer of cold sweat broke out on his back. When the wind blew him, his whole body became cold and he sneezed. It didn't matter if he hit him, his movements were stagnant, and Goose-witting grabbed his shoulders with one hand and pinned him to the tree. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 659. His big hands casually clasped her neck and lifted her hat. The moment he saw her face, his eyes were confused for a moment. Shen Yizi not only used a voice changer to change her voice, but also used a disguise pill to change her appearance. Before the pill expired, most people would never be able to tell that she had changed her appearance. But Goose-witting was obviously not an ordinary person, and Shen Yizi felt very uneasy. Senior, don't kill me. I can make elixirs, set up formations, and cook. I cook delicious food. I guarantee that you will forget it after eating it once. No. Goose-witting pressed his thumb on the side of her neck, with burning heat. Really, there was no emotion in his voice. Only he knows how much he longs for her at this moment. Every cell in his body is clamoring to get close to her, touch her, kiss her, and hold her. However, thinking of his experiences in the previous worlds, he had to suppress this desire severely and could not show it at all, otherwise, Mi Yang would definitely notice it and open a new world again. Everything will have to be repeated in the next world, and he is not sure whether he will be able to awaken his previous memories by then. So, he could only pretend not to care about her. Seeing her acting seriously in front of him, Goose-witting felt extremely cute. However, he knew that Mi Yang could observe his every move by some means, so he did not dare to be careless at all and could only act indifferently. Look. Really, senior, believe me. Shen Yizi grabbed his hand and tried to free his neck from his hand. Being grabbed by her hand, Goose-witting's heart trembled. He took his hand back and put it behind his back. He couldn't help but rub the fingers under her sleeves twice, as if he could still feel the warmth on her skin. Okay, then I will spare your life for now. Thank you, senior, Shen Yizi was overjoyed and said gratefully. However, I couldn't help but feel sour in my heart. Senior brother Gu, where are you? Gu Switting received the communication talisman sent to him by Shen Xing. I'm fine, I'll go back right away. Gu Switting glanced at Shen Yizi, grabbed her shoulders, and disappeared on the spot. The next moment, he appeared next to the bonfire. Shen Xing saw that he had brought a stranger back, and couldn't help but be curious. Brother Gu, who is he? Following us, he said that he could make alchemy and cook, so I spared her life, Gu Switting explained, sat down in his original position and closed his eyes. Apparently I don't want to say anything more. Shen Yizi showed a humble and flattering smile to Shen Xing and Mi Yang, and played a slippery low-level monk vividly. She had hidden her cultivation before, and her spiritual roots were not detected 10 years ago, so Mi Yang believed that she was immortal. Now, her cultivation in the late stage of qi refining is revealed. In addition, her appearance, voice, and demeanor had completely changed, and Mi Yang really didn't recognize her. Shen Xing, on the other hand, always felt that she was a bit familiar, so he stared at her twice. Along the way, Shen Yizi became a handyman for a few people. She took care of monsters, cooked food, set up formations, and kept vigil. All these tasks were hers. Of course, she didn't feel tired, but actually enjoyed it. When cleaning up the monsters, she could take the opportunity to collect some materials that Gu Switting and the others didn't like, and then secretly sell them to the system mall in exchange for wealth points. During the formation process, Gu Switting occasionally gave her a few words of advice, which benefited her a lot. It was much more efficient than reading and pondering by herself. During the night watch, she used it to meditate and practice. When she came out of Suanzu Mountain, her cultivation level had already reached the late stage of foundation building. To the outside world, she also improved her fake cultivation level by 1 level. In other aspects, I have also benefited a lot. It can be said that she has evolved from a novice in cultivating immortals to a novice in cultivating immortals. Although she is still a novice, there is still a lot of room for improvement, right? In the team, Gu Switting always treated her indifferently. Of course, he treated Mi Yang the same way, so he was gentler toward Shen Xing. Shen Xing was a little wary of her at first, but after eating the food she cooked, he became very enthusiastic towards her. He will also take the initiative to help her find ingredients, so there is no doubt that she is a foodie. Mi Yang never looked at her seriously, and Shen Yizi was very satisfied with this. It was just right to ignore her, so that the risk of her exposure would be much smaller. At the foot of Suanzu Mountain, there is a stone tablet that reaches straight into the sky, with the 3 characters Xian Realm written on it. It is majestic and shocking. Gu Switting was not in a hurry to return to the sect, but took Shen Xing to practice all the way. Shen Yizi, as his prisoner, naturally followed him. Mi Yang also followed. So it's still a party of 4. It was not until 1 month before the opening of the Zio secret realm that Gu Switting returned to the Yuxiao sect with a few people. At this time, the selection and assessment are taking place in the door. This selection is naturally aimed at the upcoming opening of the Zio secret realm. Although the Yuxiao sect is the largest sect in the world of immortality, the Zio secret realm is not unique to it, but is shared by several major sects, so the number of places each sect can enter is limited. The number of places is limited, so competition is naturally required. Shen Xing already regarded Shen Yizi as one of his own at this time, and immediately asked her, "Mo Qing, do you want to enter the Zio secret realm to experience it?" Mo Qing is Shen Yizi's pseudonym. She didn't know why she chose such a name, but when asked about her name, she blurted it out in an instant. Shen Yizi, of course I think I'm just a casual cultivator, so I'm afraid I won't have this opportunity. Shen Xing, it's okay, I'll take care of it. Then, Shen Xing went to give Shen Yi some ideas. Our peak. This is the territory of Shen Xing and his master, Master Xianchong. So far, Master Xianchong has only accepted Shen Xing as his disciple, so the entire Calabash Peak is very deserted. When Shen Xing found his master, as expected, his master was lying drunkenly on a flat rock and fast asleep. Beside him was a large, green, and oily gourd. This gourd was the container he used to hold wine. At this time, there was not much wine left in it. Master, master. Shen Xing shook his master awake. Xianchong Genren woke up in a daze. What's the matter, disciple? Master, I have brought you a disciple. What? Junior brother, he has extremely rare healing spiritual roots, and he can also make elixirs and form formations. The most important thing is that the rice he cooks is delicious, and he can also make wine. You can try the pear blossom wine he brews, and this beggar's chicken. Shen Xing took out the wine and food he had saved from his storage bag. Xianchong is the best wine and the second best food in his life. With a slight sniff of his nose, his eyes lit up and he snatched the wine and beggar's chicken from Shen Xing's hand. Once he tasted it, he said, "Oh, it's beautiful. Where is your junior brother? Bring him to me quickly." Shen Yizi followed Gu Switting to his cave, and he said lightly, "From now on, you will take care of the secular affairs of the cave for me." Shen Yizi responded respectfully, "Yes." There was a bit of uncontrollable excitement and joy in his voice. Without his instructions, she started working quickly, starting with cleaning. As soon as the cave was cleaned up, Shen Xing came on flying swords and pulled her away. "Brother Shen, what's wrong? Where are you taking me in such a hurry?" Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 660. Shen Xing, my master wants to accept you as his disciple. Shen Yizi, ah. How could your master dash? Before she could finish her words, she had already realized that Shen Xing must have said something nice for her in front of his master. Shen Xing betrayed his master without hesitation, told her the story of how he persuaded him before, and told her, "My master likes best wine and food. It just so happens that the wine you make is delicious, it suits his taste, and since you have rare healing spiritual roots, my master has almost agreed to accept you as his disciple, but he still needs to meet you. Don't be nervous when you are in front of him. My master is easy to get along with. When he accepts you as his disciple, you will be a disciple of the sect and qualified to participate in the secret realm assessment. With your strength, you will definitely be selected successfully. Then we can enter the secret realm together." Shen Yizi was moved for a moment. Even though little Xing Xing didn't recognize her, he still cared about her so much that she had the urge to take off her disguise and tell him her true identity. But thinking of Xiao Lizu, her brain calmed down again. This is Xiao Lizu's territory. Once her identity is revealed, she may have murderous intentions. In the world of immortality where the strong are respected and the weak eat the strong, what does it mean to kill all the low-level monks? At Calabash Peak, Shen Xing pulled Shen Yizi and jumped off the flying sword, striding towards Master Xianchong who was lying on the boulder. When Master Xianchong looked over with his drunken eyes, Shen Yizi couldn't help but become nervous. What if he saw through her disguise? This person is the powerful nascent soul. Are you the Mo Qing that Xiao Xing mentioned? Shen Yizi nodded quickly, "Yes, senior." Xianchong took a sip of wine and pointed towards the back mountain, "Go to the back mountain to catch some fish and bake them. If they are cooked well, I will fulfill Xiaoxing's wish and accept you as my disciple." "Yes, I'll go right away." Shen Xing was about to follow, but was stopped by Xianchong. "This is my teacher's test for her. Why are you following her? Just stay here." Shen Xing said carelessly, "Come on, you just want to eat grilled fish. It's not like I don't know you." However, he didn't follow him in the end. Instead, he set up a fire on the spot so that Mo Qing could roast it later. Shen Yizi arrived at the back mountain and carefully caught a few fish from the lake. She was always alert to the danger that might suddenly emerge, but until she left with the grilled fish, the lake remained calm. Could it be that she is overthinking? Did Xianchong really just ask her to catch fish instead of taking the opportunity to test her? After returning home, Shen Yizi handled several fishes neatly, grilling them when they needed to be grilled and stewing when they needed to be stewed, and soon a fragrance filled the air. As soon as Master Xianchong tasted it, he paused for a moment, and then started to feast. Almost all the fish went into his stomach, but Shen Xing only managed to grab one. After eating the grilled fish, drink a bowl of fresh fish soup, which is delicious. Master Xianchong picked his teeth in a nondescript manner and casually announced, "Mo Qing, you will be my second apprentice from now on. I don't have any rules in Calabash Peak. You can choose a place to open a cave by yourself." Shen Yizi was overjoyed. "Yes, master." Xianchong seemed to ask casually, "What should we have for dinner? How about eating pot meat in the evening? Large chunks of meat, plus prunes and vegetables, put them together in a jar, and slowly simmer them over a slow fire. The pot meat is perfect for rice, and stir-fry some refreshing side dishes. What do you think of cooking a pot of fish ball soup?" Xianchong had already eaten. Hearing her description, he felt hungry again, but he had to be reserved in front of his newly accepted disciple. "Okay, I'll do as you said, it's pretty good." Xianchong turned over slowly, and soon started to snore loudly. Shen Xing took Shen Yizi around Calabash Peak and chose a good location for her with a wide view and excellent scenery. "Your cave should be opened here." "Good." Shen Xing rolled up his sleeves and got to work. Shen Yizi wanted to help, but he refused to let him go. "No, you step aside and I'll do it." Facts have proved that, as a metal-type superpower, it is easy for Shen Xing to dig mountains and caves, so Shen Yizi can only help him. According to her request, Shen Xing carved out a cave for her with 3 rooms and 1 living room. The living room was right in front of her, with an area of 50 or 60 square meters. Anyway, the entire hilltop belonged to their family, so there was no need to save space at all. There are 3 stone rooms and 1 bedroom, which is also a place for meditation and practice. It is connected to a large bathroom. There is a square-shaped pool in the bathroom. When the time comes, put a pool of hot water in it and lie in it. How comfortable! A studio for reading books, refining alchemy, etc., and the last room is the kitchen. As a disciple who was accepted into the school because of his outstanding cooking skills, Shen Yizi felt that he could not forget his roots and must continue to study his cooking skills so that his master could eat satisfactorily every day. Besides, she also likes to study food. Let's just reserve these few rooms for the time being. If they are not enough in the future, we can expand them at any time. The cave has been dug out, and the next step is to decorate it. Shen Yizi took out furniture, bedding, and other daily necessities from the storage bag and put them on the table. If he didn't have any, he bought them directly in the mall. Anyway, these daily necessities were very cheap. In one afternoon, a warm and comfortable cave was decorated. Shen Yizi and Shen Xing looked at each other, both of them felt a sense of accomplishment. Shen Yizi saw that it was already getting late, so she quickly started cooking. In the newly decorated kitchen, Shen Xing helped her. Afraid of not having enough to eat, she made another beef bone soup pot. After eating the meat, she could use the soup as a base for cooking vegetables. Xianchong felt itchy as he smelled the fragrance wafting out, so he simply walked into Shen Yizi's cave with his hands behind his back. Shen Yizi was bringing out the beef bone soup. When he saw the master coming, he hurriedly invited him to sit on the sofa, poured him tea and brought him fruits. "Master, please sit down for a while, and I will fry 2 more dishes." Xianchong nodded reservedly. "Well, go ahead. I'm just here to take a look." Shenyazi smiled to himself and went back to work in the kitchen without trying to expose him. While frying the last dish of stir-fried pork, she used the communication talisman to send a message to Gu Swiding, "Senior brother Gu, I became a disciple of Master Xianchong and have now settled down here at Calabash Peak. I have done a lot tonight. I want to celebrate, would you like to come over and eat with us?" Not long after, she received his reply, "No need." Simple and cold words, the attitude of rejecting people thousands of miles away is really difficult to deal with. When will she be able to get a handsome man back in her arms? Thinking about herself disguised as a man, she felt that this was still a long way off. Forget it, just let nature take its course.